As one of the show-stealing secondary characters in Kingkiller, Auri is a young woman whose past is shrouded in mystery. Auri is a petite, blonde-haired girl who lives all alone beneath the university in a sprawling web of tunnels and passages she calls the Underthing. She doesn't like the open sky, bright lights or people, and so rarely takes the time to journey out of the Underthing, unless she needs to eat from an apple tree in one of the university's secret courtyards. Whilst out practicing his lute in that very same courtyard, Kvothe begins to suspect he is being watched. He hears a sudden rustling, like the sound of a startled animal, but finds no one. He thinks a fellow student is listening to him practice, and nearly 2 span later, he finally catches sight of her. Startled to find her half-starved, Kvothe begins leaving her food until she eventually gains enough confidence to join him on the courtyard roof while he plays his lute. Personality-wise, Auri is bright-eyed and enthusiastic. She is alert, lively and full of joy, which takes Kvothe by surprise, because he expected a sullen and suspicious creature, similar to how he used to be whilst begging on the streets of Tarbean. This is probably why Kvothe felt sympathy for her, because he knows how hard and lonely that kind of life can be. Yet he's amazed to find her scrupulously clean, and this might be the first of many subtle hints to suggest that she has a noble upbringing. Any direct questions about her past, however, concludes with her bolting back underground and not returning for days. This is evidence when Kvothe first asks for her real name. She is clearly marred by a troubled history. Whatever tragedy that had befallen her must be tightly connected with her true identity. So much so she cannot come to terms with who she really is. So what does Kvothe do? He fashions her a new name, one that fits her quite well according to master namer Elodin. Following that, their relationship develops into one that involves the exchanging of gifts. Whenever Kvothe brings her food, he receives a gift in return. However, they must each add something special to their gifts to make them sound more enticing. For example, Auri hands Kvothe a key which she says unlocks the moon. In exchange, Kvothe gives her some bread and water, and when she asks what's in the water, he tells her flowers and the part of the moon that isn't in the sky. She criticises him a bit for this because she's already mentioned the moon, and thus Kvothe amends his earlier statement to just be about flowers with the shine off the back of a dragonfly. While these interactions appear insignificant, they may in fact be a very important part of Kvothe's magical education. There is a good chance Auri is training Kvothe's sleeping mind. The concept of the sleeping mind is one that has been repeated many times across the novels, especially with its relevance to naming. If our waking mind is what thinks and talks and reasons, then our sleeping mind is more powerful because it sees deeply to the heart of things. It is the part of us that dreams. It remembers everything. It gives us intuition. The waking mind does not understand the nature of names, but the sleeping mind does. Whether knowingly or not, I think Auri has helped Kvothe as his first unofficial naming teacher, long before Elodin got involved. During each one of their interactions, Kvothe is asked to come up with artistic and unique things in his offerings of food to present alongside the basic ingredients. If he tries to approach their conversations strictly based on logic, Auri scolds him. By not allowing him to interact as he usually would, his sleeping mind is slowly being nurtured to see things as they are, not what they are comprised of. The masters repeatedly view Kvothe as reckless and without patience, but in reaching out to Auri, he is learning patience. In a way, she is his instructor in regards to discovering true magic, not one focused on the logical principles of sympathy and other standardized schooling the university offers. We can see from the slow regard of silent things that Auri sees the world differently to how most people do, and perhaps she's trying to teach Kvothe to do the same. In fact, there is a huge reveal in her novella that indicates that she is a shaper. It's the scene where Auri is making a candle for Kvothe. Auri poured the laurel fruit into the grinder. In 3 breaths' time it was minced tightly and fine. Then she stopped, staring at the mass of half-pulped fruit. She knew the proper way for laurel. She knew the patient way of things. Grind and boil. She had no time for it. These lines show us that while she is proficient in the arts of alchemy, the process required to complete the candle would take too long, especially as she is expecting Kvothe later in the evening. She dismisses alchemy and then turns her thoughts to other magical arts. Now she knew much more than that. So much of what she'd thought was truth before was merely tricks, no more than clever ways of speaking to the world. They were bargaining, a plea, a call, a cry. This section is ambiguous, but it seems to be referencing the common studies of the university, including sympathy and sygaldry, but carefully consider the line about clever ways of speaking to the world. It looks like she is referring to naming, and is even dismissing its power as a mere trick when compared to the magic she is about to perform. But underneath there was a secret, deep within the hidden heart of things. Mandrake never told her that. She did not think he knew. Auri found that secret for herself. She knew the true shape of the world. She closed her eyes. She drew her shoulders back. She took a slow and steady breath. There was tension in the air. A weight. A weight. There was no wind. She did not speak. The world grew stretched and tight. Auri drew a breath and opened her eyes. Auri was an urchin small. Her tiny feet upon the stone were bare. Auri stood, and in the circle of her golden hair she grinned, and brought the weight of her desire down full upon the world. And all things shook, and all things knew her will, and all things bent to please her. And here we have it, the true depths of her abilities revealed. Auri's old alchemy teacher, Mandrake, wasn't aware of the knowledge she now possesses, which reinforces that this isn't naming. Then there's the fact that when she wills the world to be a certain way, and it becomes that way, she has her desired candle without speaking a single word. This power is not naming magic, it's shaping. Auri is a shaper. When Kvothe first meets her, he assumes she is mentally unstable, perhaps a runaway from Haven, the university's mental institution. In truth, Auri may in all likelihood be completely sane, but gifted with knowing the profound truths of the world. If you think about her behaviour, this makes sense, given how she spends much of her time in perfect harmony in the underthing. She is able to comprehend everything's proper place, and ensures that it stays there. It's as if Auri is in tune with the world around her. Any small disruption to her world is a disruption to her. Indeed, she has spent entire days weeping when she cannot find an object's rightful place. Many take the symbolism and imagery surrounding Auri to mean that she is one of the original angels depicted in Scarpi's story. The most commonly cited angel is Ordal. She is described while standing bravely before AlyaW as being the youngest of them all, who had never seen a thing die, her golden hair bright with ribbon. Given that Auri has golden hair, looks young and expresses childlike behaviour at times, this does match, especially as Auri is often depicted with halo imagery. However, there is another angel, Giza, who is also a good fit. Fair Giza, who had 100 suitors in Beileag before the walls fell, the first woman to know the unasked for touch of man. For starters, we know the underthing where Auri resides is most likely the ruins of Beileag. We know this because letters sent to Kvothe at the university is addressed to the region called Bellany Baron. In the wise man's fear, we learn that the gift of a single sinus fruit is considered a terrible insult if given to one of the Belandari. Interestingly, Elodin gifts this exact piece of fruit to Auri upon meeting her. "Ah," Elodin said, stepping away from the chimney. He patted his robes until he found something in a pocket. He held it out to her. "I'm afraid I've only brought you a sinus fruit." Considering her unpleasant reaction to receiving this gift, this might suggest that Auri is a Belandari, the Belandari quite possibly being the former inhabitants of Beileag. It has also been hinted at that Auri was a victim of sexual assault, given this passage from the slow regard of silent things. Thus, there could be a correlation here between Auri's thoughts and the line about fair geezer knowing the unasked for touch of man. From Scarpi's story, it is said that only the most powerful can see the angels, and only then with great difficulty and at great peril. Auri tells Kvothe nobody sees her, another parallel to add to the mix, though this one does raise some issues because we know Elodin, Kvothe and Mola have all seen Auri, unless of course she is some kind of fallen angel, exiled from paradise, who's trying to atone for her past mistakes by moving all manner of things in the Underthing to their respective places, almost as if doing that will somehow mend the world itself. I think Auri is a shaper with tremendous power of imposing her own desire on the world, but chooses to only exercise her abilities in a limited capacity, because she's well aware of the risks associated with shaping. Remember, the old wars between the Knowers and the Shapers. The Shapers were the ones who went a step further than naming, and twisted the names of things to create a great many wonders, including the Fae, until they ultimately went too far and stole the moon. Perhaps Auri understands this, which is why she has only ever used her power in the most minimalistic way possible. Now there's a prevalent theory that Auri is Princess Ariel. I won't go into heavy detail concerning this, because it's already well covered in Captured in Words video about Auri. If you haven't checked that out yet, I highly recommend you do. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Anyway, the theory is that Princess Ariel secretly attended the university under a false name. Her admittance to the university was a secret she wanted to keep hidden from the royal court, either because the Kingdom of Ventus is superstitious of anything magical, or because her father, the king, had betrothed her to a young man belonging to a powerful family, most likely Ambrose Jackus. Auri may have been supportive of the marriage at first, choosing to come to the university to meet her betrothed in person, only to find out what an arsehole he is. It is speculated that Princess Ariel came to the university under the guise of Tabitha. And there was Tabitha, Sim said darkly. She made all that noise about how Ambrose had promised to marry her. She just disappeared. There are a few possibilities why the royal family haven't come looking for her, but my best guess is that they just don't know where to look. If they knew where to find her, they would have explored every inch of the university grounds. There is also the fact that more than a couple of times, Auri has greeted Kvothe with a curtsy. The delicate way in which she eats her food, not to mention the poise, grace, and manner in which she holds herself like a high-born lady, further supports the idea that she is in fact Princess Ariel. But now I'd like to know your thoughts. Be sure to share your opinions in the comment section. Do you believe she's one of the ancient angels of Beileag? If so, I hope she's not the angel Kvothe is credited with fighting. Do you think she's Princess Ariel? If she is, then that could lead to an interesting confrontation with her father, King Roderick Calamphus. Kvothe is supposed to kill a king in Book 3 after all. Auri, being a princess, would be an important motivating factor to bring Kvothe to the king's court, placing him in an ideal position to fulfill his title role as Kingkiller. In any case, I think Auri is a wonderful character who has been there for Kvothe during some of the lowest moments in his life. It says a lot that she was willing to watch over him when he was suffering from the effects of the plum bob. That scene where she holds him tenderly while he cries out for his mother is always moving. I can see why people ship them. If you enjoyed this video, do leave a like, and for more Kingkiller content, please subscribe. Have a nice day.